This is for Larry Joe.
All right, the time is 3 o'clock on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. I'm calling to order the Board of Equalization. Today we have with us Commissioners Kelly Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as our County Administrator Bonnie Moore, Kendra Kaler from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office. We have our Treasurer Jeff Mikesell, Dan Pittman, County Assessor, and Denny Wilson, County Engineer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a copy of the Open Meetings Act on the north wall of the boardroom. Agenda item 4 is public comments. Before we start the meeting, is there anybody from the public that wishes to make any comments to the board before going into the rest of the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. At this time, at 3:02, I'm going to place the Board of Equalization into recess, and we will move down to the regular board member agenda.
Commissioner, we do have some consent and regular agenda items. I think the recess would be for the executive session.
Thank you. All right, scratch my last comments. We'll go to item 5, consent equalization agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Burmeister, second by Warren. Any comments? Please vote.
Commissioner Warren, did you have a voting screen?
Try again. That time it took.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, moving on to our regular agenda, item 6.1, public hearing and action, recommendation of the denial of one tax exemption application 451A for tax exemption on real and personal property by qualifying organization for the Mills Eternal Family Trust, parcel 0115772000, tabled from the March 18th, 2025 meeting. County Assessor Dan Pittman.
I really don't have any further comments from last week. So.
Thank you, Dan. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak? And per usual, please provide your name and address for the record.
Good morning. I'm William Mills. Is there anything else you guys need to know by introduction?
Just your address, please, for the record.
608 Ruby Road, Papillion, Nebraska, 68133. And I'm not exactly sure what the problem is. Apparently, I failed to communicate, and I apologize for that. But we're attempting to get a tax exemption on a parsonage. And I just did a brief search on the internet before we came out. Parsonages and property tax exemption. A church-owned parsonage is exempt from property taxation in Nebraska, even if the minister who lives in the parsonages performs some of their ministerial duties, few of any ministerial duties in parsonage. Apparently, this issue was settled by the Nebraska Supreme Court with the Methodists. We're a part of a church organized as a church, as a corporation under Nebraska law, and this is our parsonage. And I don't understand the nature of the objection or why there's a recommendation that it be denied. This is a church parsonage owned by a church, operated for religious purposes.
What church owns the parsonage?
It's called the Mills Eternal Family Trust, and we're a small church, but I don't think that the county is in the business of deciding how many millions of members you have to have. Whether you have 12 members or 12 million members, our articles of incorporation clearly identify us as that, and the IRS has acknowledged that. It's a Nebraska religious corporation.
Does the Mills Family Trust hold meetings? Do they have meetings of some sort?
Yes, we do. We hold regular meetings.
What kind of meetings does you hold?
Meetings to discuss how we're going to spend our donations. For example, we provide a lot of support for healthcare workers, for nurses, particularly foreign ones.
Okay, perfect. And who attends the meetings? Is it members or?
Our board consists of 6 people, and I'm one of those 6.
Okay.
So I have 1 vote in 6.
And I think you said last week that you and your wife are both board members, right?
Yes.
And then there are 4 others?
Yes, ma'am.
And who are those people?
Trevor and Mandy Sexton and Matthew and Michaela Ottoman.
Okay. And are those people related to you?
Yes, they are. There are children and their spouses.
Okay, got it. And are there any other members outside of board members, or is it just board members?
No, there are members who aren't board members. These are volunteers, often substantial donors, to be perfectly honest with you. But yes.
Okay. And the other 4 board members, do they stay at the parsonage from time to time or at their residence?
We get together with 2 of them every Sunday for dinner. And sometimes business is discussed there. 2 of the board members live in Idaho, but 4 of us live here in the Pavilion.
And the other board members don't live there, right?
No, correct. No one else lives there.
Okay. Do you and your wife work full-time? Do you work 40 hours a week?
I do. She is retired. I am employed full-time as a chaplain at Bergen Mercy Medical Center.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have questions?
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
I think the struggle that, and this is a tough one because it really boils down to a legal issue. I think for me individually I looked at the case you're citing along with several others to try to figure out, does it fit in the legal definition? And the problem that I have is that I don't think Mills Family Eternal Trust qualifies as a church under the legal definitions, which means that then it wouldn't be a parsonage. It's got to have if you look at the case law, my interpretation of it is it's not enough to meet that requirement. And I think that's where the struggle is your situation is a little bit different than what we see in a sort of a standard situation where there would be, like an established church that held, had Sunday church services or something, then hires a pastor that lives in a house full time. That's kind of the more standard thing we see with a parsonage. This is a little bit different than that, and we've struggled a little bit with, does it meet the definition or not? I know that Mr. Pittman has indicated that the Department of Revenue has some issues with it as well. And I think I had some issues with it last time as well. So that's just my personal 2 cents on the topic. I can't get over that definition.
The Articles of Incorporation, that I have a copy here, filed October 3rd, 2019. The purpose for which the Mills Eternal Family Trust, Inc. is organized is to proclaim, proclamate, and build the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, especially through means of sacramental life, to claim the inheritance of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, especially as mentioned in Romans, to establish, gather, and purify Zion as covenant followers of Jesus Christ. Wow. I can't imagine what a religious corporation would be if this isn't it.
Sure, and I want to be clear that I'm not faulting at all what you do. We have to make decisions based on the property tax issue. Appreciate what you do in the community. This is not knocking that at all. It's for me, it's a finite issue of does it meet the definition, and there's a lot of interpretation in there, some of which has to do with it being 100% for religious uses, and I think we have a struggle there whether it is or not. And so I appreciate you providing the information and coming back a second time. We wanted to be sure we gave you the opportunity to talk to us and give all the information. And I don't know how the rest of the board is feeling. That's up to them, but I just wanted to explain kind of where I was coming from.
Thank you, Angie. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Okay. My final comment is that my understanding of that case regarding the Methodists was that It didn't matter. It wasn't necessary that all of the business there be church business. If it was a parsonage used by the pastor, including church business, it was eligible. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody else from the public that wishes to speak to this item? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion from the board.
I'll make a motion that we accept the disapproval recommendation by our assessor.
Motion from Commissioner Warren. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Seconded
Nixon.
by Mixon. Any further comments from the board?
Yeah, I just want to make one comment. I know how I'm voting on this, but I think there's more to this than this board is maybe able to do. And I think what you will probably, depending on the vote, there's always, if this board turns this down and agrees with the denial from the county assessor, you have the right to take it to Turk to get a ruling at that point. So.
Thank you, Gary. Any further comments? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Moving on to agenda item 6.2, the public hearing and action recommendation of approval of a portion of 9 tax exemption applications, 451 NF, for tax exemptions on real and personal property owned by qualifying organizations. Once again, County Assessor Dan Pittman.
So a brief statement. Nebraska State Stat 77-202 was revised in December of 2024 and is paraphrased as follows. Any for-profit skilled nursing facility, or assisted living facility as defined in Chapter 71 of the state statutes that provides housing for Medicaid beneficiaries may apply annually for a property tax exemption. The exemption amount for such property shall be a percentage of the property taxes that would otherwise be due. Such percentage shall be equal to the average percentage of occupied beds in the facility provided to Medicaid beneficiaries over the most recent 3-year period. This is the first year for this law to be enacted, and we have 9 operations in Sarpy County that have applied for some percentage of exemption.
Thank you, Dan.
Of all of those you worked out, I looked at all the percentages. Is everybody in agreement? Have you worked with each client? Each parcel?
Is everybody in agreement?
The percentage that you came up with?
Yes. Yeah, I don't see any variation in what I've been able to understand and what they've reported.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions for Dan? Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody else from the audience that wishes to speak to this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. As I understand it, if we approve of all 9, we can just make that in one spill motion. If there's any that anybody wishes to take out, we can handle these separately.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kelly, second by Mixon. Any further comments?
I don't have the little window though, Kendra.
It says voting in progress.
Well,
You don't
anyways,
see-
it's my motion. I just don't
Okay.
have the window.
You guys have voting? Okay. I'll put it under calendar. Go ahead.
I was able to vote last time, but nothing this time.
Can you hit refresh?
Please vote.
Got it.
Are you an A?
Oh, wait, there it is. Thanks.
Okay, Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Lastly, agenda item 6.1, tax corrections 17,548 through 17,551. Dan Pittman, Assessor.
3 of these are deducted tax, and one's a small added tax, and these are pretty standard weekly things that you see.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Mixon. Any further questions? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, now at 3:16, I'm going to place the Board of Equalization into recess. And we will move down to the Board of Commissioners meeting. The time is 3:16. I'm calling to order the Board of Commissioners meeting. Today we have present Commissioners Kelly, Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, Klug, as well as our County Administrator Bonnie Moore, Kendra Kaler from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office. I have Jeff Mikesell, our Treasurer, and Denny Wilson, our County Engineer. With that, open up to the public. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to make oh, Dan, I missed you again. Sorry, Dan Pittman is still present. Anybody from the public that wishes to make any comments to the board before we go into the rest of the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 4, Commissioner and Administrator announcements or comments. Commissioner Kelly.
None, thank you.
Nothing, thanks.
I have no comments, but Commissioner, do you want to do the employee recognition resolution?
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. So we want to call up Resolution 2025-64, recognize employees who have served the Sarpy County and have reached milestone years of service. Per usual, the county, I think we all pride ourselves in being great stewards of the tax dollar, but also providing great services to our constituents. Ultimately, I see the county and everything that we do, we are a customer service organization. And without the people that are in there day in and day out providing those essential services to our employees, whether it's in the office or out upon the streets, their service is recognized and very, very much appreciated. So here we see our 1 year of service individuals. Thank them for being here in different offices. 5 years of service. Some familiar faces there. 10 years of service, Pete Perch with the County Attorney's Office. Now that we're getting into double digits. 25 years of service. We have Public Works and Sheriff's Office employees there. 30 years of service, Gregory Freeborn at the Sheriff's Office. 40 years of service, Sherry Jacobs, also at the Sheriff's Office. So it's wonderful to see that longevity in the Sheriff's Office. And again, we thank everybody that's been here and continues to work for the county. Obviously, it's a great county to live in, and everybody that works here. It is your efforts that make that, or a big part of making that possible. So thank you very much for your service. We're looking forward to working with you even more. So,
Commissioner Klug, it is a resolution. We need to vote on it.
all right.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Burmeister.
Second.
Second by Warren. Any further comments? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, moving on to the consent commissioner's agenda. Anyone want to see anything moved from that? Otherwise, I'd accept a motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Burmeister. Further comments? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, moving on to agenda item 661, resolution 2025-50, cede and transfer zoning jurisdiction of real property currently located in Sarpy County zoning jurisdiction to the city of Papillion, generally located along the north side of Platteview Road, to the existing extraterritorial jurisdiction between 120th Street and 63rd Street. This was tabled from the February 25th, 2025 meeting. Deputy County Administrator Scott Bovick.
Table.
Thank you, Commissioners. You did table this from that previous meeting. In the meantime, we've had a chance to talk to the City of Papillion about maybe looking at some other options here. So the recommendation today is table this indefinitely. As we work through some things with you, we'll come back with a revised proposal.
Motion to table indefinitely?
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Mixon. Any further comments? Please vote. Thank you, Scott.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, Regular Commissioners Agenda Item 771, Resolution 2025-62, accept recommendation of County Engineer regarding possible vacation of portions of South 198th Street adjacent to the Gretna Landing development, and set date of public hearing for the possible vacation of the portion of 198th Street adjacent to Pennsylvania Dutch Cemetery. Mike Sharp, County Surveyor.
Zach Hergenrader.
Yeah, Zach. So you're not Mike.
It's okay. So this is just a request to set up a public hearing for this possible vacation. It's on 198th Street, a little bit north of Highway 370 in Gretna. Most of the right-of-way in this area is within Gretna city limits. We just have a small portion of it that's about 180 feet long. It's adjacent to the cemetery, and we have no need for it in the future. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you.
So it would be traditionally you split down the middle and property owner on each side, or how would that be done?
So I believe that the developer actually donated this right away as they were going through the platting process. And it looks like we don't have right away on the cemetery side. So it would just be the developer.
Okay.
Any further questions for Zach? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Warren,
Second.
second by Burmeister. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, agenda item 8 is executive session.
Do we have one
We do, yep.
Yes.
for the board?
Yep.
Okay. For the protection of the public interest, I move we go into executive session to discuss,
Litigation.
Litigate.
yeah, that.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Mixon.
You gotta click.
Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, it's now 3:23. We'll go into executive session where our discussion will be restricted to litigation. Now, 4:11 PM, we went into executive session at 3:22 to discuss litigation. I need a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Motion by Mixon, second.
Just leave that off.
Second by Kelly. Any discussion? Please vote.
Who seconded it?
Kelly.
Hang on
Have you
here.
seen any votes?
No.
It's coming.
I don't
Gosh
know
darn
what
it.
that screen is.
Guess I'm gonna have to sit down and navigate this. I had it for a second and
How
it
about
disappeared.
all A's?
Hey, yeah.
Okay, A's 5, nays none, motion carried.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good job.
And then you got to close out a
Gotta
BOE,
go back.
Commissioner. Okay.
Thank you.
We've got-
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned. Going back to our BOE at 3:16 PM, the Board of Equalization went into recess. We're now coming out of recess at 4:12 PM. And all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned.
Great.
Wonderful.